So we continue to follow the story of the elected ANC NEC members. To get economic reaction, we cross to economics editor Tshepo Mongoai, who's following the story at Nasrec for us. A very good afternoon, Tshepo. Just tell us what you're seeing and hearing where you are.
Thank you very much, Nompu. Of course, we are still here at Nasrec. We've just heard and witnessed the announcement of the top 7 of the ANC. And of course, lots of reaction coming through. We are now joined by the president of Cosatu, Zingiswa Losi. From the workers' perspective, you've been very close to this action. And of course, you are in alliance with the ANC. Does this outcome cement your relationship with the ruling party?
Thank you very much. We must say that as well as workers, Cosatu in particular, we welcome the outcomes of this conference. And you would remember, firstly, that Cosatu, out of its national conference, it did not make any pronouncement on any line-up. We wanted to allow the branches of the ANC to determine its leadership. And we are happy with the outcomes of this conference. It is an outcome that is consisting of different slates, for lack of a better word, but it is an outcome that is going to unite the African National Congress. And we must say we are hopeful. We also are grateful that gender, for the first time, women in particular, have risen up in terms of the leadership of the ANC. We are close to getting gender parity, but as you know that we have 7 positions now, as in 6 positions in the previous term. So we're happy that we have managed to get 3 women. What we are looking forward to by the outcomes of this leadership is the leadership that is going to unite the African National Congress. A leadership that is going to unite the movement, the alliance, and renew the alliance. But the leadership that is going to understand that it does not end here at Nasrec. This victory is about the people of South Africa. People of South Africa are looking as to a kind of an ANC that is going to emerge beyond the results. So we are hopeful, and we want to see really a leadership that is not going to be divided beyond this conference, an ANC that is going to understand that this is bigger than us. This is about the millions of South Africans.
Do you expect a different kind of engagement with this current leadership?
Look, as we were congratulating the leadership, all of them, as if they would have had their own caucus, were excited and looking forward to the renewal of the alliance. They said individually that this is a moment for us to rebuild, to renew, and reconnect with our people. And we are not going to waste any moment in time. We're looking forward to the first engagement as an alliance with the leadership of the ANC.
There's a lot of outstanding issues, especially in terms of the relationship with the ruling party. Public sector wage talks is still one point. And then from here, where to in terms of your relationship with the ruling party?
In our message of support, we did not mince our words. We were very clear on where workers stand and what are the demands. And when, as I say, as I was congratulating the leadership, they said, we heard you, Cosatu. And the first thing on the agenda will be the issues that we raised here. The plight of workers, the plight of public servants, but not only public servants, the plight of workers in general in South Africa. We have workers that are working in the retail sector who are on strike with the retail industry. We have workers in the mining industry and the value chain who do not know where the future lies in terms of the just energy transition. We've got a whole number. We've got farm workers and domestic workers. We've got musicians in our country. We have taxi drivers. So we have a whole lot of issues that we need to put at the table of this leadership to have honest and thorough discussions. And we're saying they must not waste this moment.
Lots of issues. What's on top of your agenda when you'll be meeting the ruling party?
We want an ANC that is gonna listen. An ANC that is going to go back to its founding mission. An ANC that is going to really leave the fact that it says it is biased to the working class. And once we have that ANC, all of the issues that we have raised are issues that should not be an issue when we put them at the table. So we want the rebirth of the ANC so that we can then be able to table all these issues. We are hopeful that we are going to find a leadership that has an ear to engage on these issues.
There's been a lot of commissions taking place dealing with various policies. Do you feel that you've really made strides in influencing what's going to be the outcome of those commissions?
As Cosatu, we have made our submissions. We came from our Congress, we made submissions to the ANC. We are going still to receive the deliberations as outcomes of the commissions. If there are areas where we may feel that issues may have been left out, we still have an opportunity to raise them on the plenary floor. But we do not want now to assume that some of the issues have not found expression until the complete outcomes have been tabled at plenary.
One of the sticking points has been collective bargaining. Cosatu has repeated that it is under threat. Do you still share that sentiment?
I still share that sentiment. It is not only in the public sector. We have seen how government has dealt with the issue of collective bargaining to undermine a signed collective agreement, and then for Treasury to announce ahead of the negotiations that there will be no wage increase for the next 4 years. We have seen how collective bargaining has been undermined in the state-owned entities and also in the private sector. And we are hopeful that that for us is going to be also a key issue that we want the ANC to respond to, including something that is very close home. The collective agreement of workers that are working for the African National Congress in terms of their rights enshrined in the labor law, in the constitution, but importantly for them to receive what is duly theirs.
Just finally, the Minister of Finance, right here, he said that the wage talks that have just concluded with the 3% increase is a done deal, and he's looking forward to new engagement.
Well, as a federation, we are guided on this issue by our affiliates. They have taken up this issue beyond what the Minister of Finance would have said. They have gone out on strike, you would have seen, and we will be guided by them on what is their posture now in relation to what the Minister would have said. We do not want to move ahead of our affiliates on any matter. Remember, they are the ones that are engaging with the employer, not Cosatu. So we would wait and see from their responses on this matter, but we do support the views that they would be sharing on this issue. It is a very, very sensitive issue. Workers, police, men and women here, as we were entering this Nasrec, when they see us, they are saying, where is our increase? But also 3% is not enough. These are workers that are bearing the brunt of ensuring that our streets are safe. These are hospital workers that must make sure that some are here, emergency workers, nurses, doctors. You expect them to work beyond the agreed times to stay truthful to the oath that they took. But when they are supposed to be reimbursed in terms of the work that they put in, they are given a back of the hand. And we understand where they are coming from and we stand with them.
One can argue that not much has changed. You're still going to sit around the table with the very same people that you could not agree with earlier.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. We are in the ANC National Conference. The ANC is here to take a new mandate from its structures. Things are not stagnant, things are not standing still, things are moving. Where we were and where we are, I don't think we are in the same place. But we are also emerging here with a different leadership. Remember also, we must appreciate the kind of the moments that took place in the ANC that led us to this conference, that you had the former SG of the ANC being suspended by the organization. You had the late DSG, may her soul rest in peace, departing. You had the Treasurer General having to act. You had others that had to be brought in to assist. So you had difficulties of really finding the core and the collective of the leadership of the ANC for us to be able to engage on these issues. Here now, we have a renewed African National Congress in terms of a mandate. We have the new leadership that is 7 leaders, officials elected. We should not waste any moment. We should go to the table and really speak about the plight of workers and the working class in our country without sparing no moment.
Is that threat from your affiliate of a possible shutdown or a strike, is it still on the table?
As I said, that I would not jump the gun and speak on their behalf. Remember, leaders of affiliates are leading their constituencies. They must always go back and check with their membership if membership are still up to take that fight. But we are saying when they make any pronouncement, we shall be behind them.
And then as we conclude, we know the current economic environment that we find ourselves. Government is under pressure. There is no money. What is it as the workers' representative doing to assist in that situation?
I can tell you now that we were in Washington in the past weeks. We were engaging just on the importance of AGOA for our country as Cosatu. We had different meetings with different officials of different senates to say that we have a 43% of unemployment in our country and we need another 10 years of AGOA in South Africa. Of course, we would have to negotiate on the conditions, whether we agree or we need to put more stringent on, because we understand that this AGOA is a win-win situation for all of us, both Americans and South Africans. But the investment that AGOA has made and the job creation that it has done in the auto sector, for an example, we have a just transition that we also spoke about in Washington and said, how are we going to ensure that a just transition is a just energy transition that does not leave anyone behind? So how are we going to ensure that there is job creation when we enter into that no jobs will be lost but jobs will be created? How are we going to make sure that Mpumalanga, for an example, becomes a manufacturing hub for the energy, solar, or that we are going to be transiting from, and that when we move from coal, it cannot be just a movement that abandons the jobs in the mining industry, in the power stations, in the value chain. It must be a transition that considers that any worker in the value chain, in the informal sector, and also in the mining and others are taken on board when we move to any generational energy that we are going to be having in our country. So the issue of jobs is the issue that is at the forefront of our agenda wherever that we are going. I have just spoken now to the Secretary General of ACFTA, and I indicated that we really need to talk as Cosatu and the ACFTA, because there are really key issues that we strongly feel that we have been left out in terms of the labor chapter in the ACFTA, and we strongly feel that we have a lot to contribute on so that the labor voice is heard, so that any trade that is discussed at the level of the SADC, at the level of the continent, does not leave the voice of workers behind, because any investment cannot be an investment that talks to job losses in our country and people continue to languish in poverty. It must be what uplifts workers and the most impoverished in our country to be able to live above the poverty lines.
The reality is South Africa needs both immediate steps that it needs to take and then long-term steps. And government is grappling with that, especially with the steps that they need to take right now in order to alleviate the current pressures that they're going through. Your take on that?
The first thing that government needs to do is to deal with corruption, because you are not going to implement anything that must take this country forward for as long as there are people who are looting the state at the same time. So we want government to tackle this issue, but also we want government to deal with the state of the state-owned entities. We want the government to address the issues of ESCOM. Cosatu came with the ESCOM social compact. And the issues of just transition are issues that we insisted in the ESCOM social compact, that for you to deal with energy issues in this country, you cannot live outside the issue of a just transition. But also we said we want accountability. We want ESCOM that is going to be a bigger player in the multi-generational of energy in our country. And ESCOM must be a player in the solar, in the wind and energy that we are talking about. And we said there that anything that for you to be able to have a movement forward, a growth in the economy, energy is the key pillar of these issues. Currently we're having load shedding. There is no right businesswoman and man who will come to South Africa to invest their money when energy is not guaranteed. That is why we are at NEC to speak about these issues. That is why we are in Parliament to engage on these bills that parliamentarians continue to engage on. That is why we are in SADC. That is why we are in Africa. That is why we are at international forums to ensure that the voice of workers is heard and the issues that are confronting workers and the poor are taken into consideration.
The issue of the public sector wage bill has been raised as a risk. Not only here, but many international bodies have highlighted that something needs to happen and needs to happen very fast. Do you share that sentiment?
Look, the issue of the wage bill, we had done a study with the then Minister Senzo Mchunu when he was the Minister of Public Service and Administration. And we wanted to understand, where is this thing that says the public service is bloated and a lot of spending comes from that? We realize that if you are to look into the public servants in terms of police, doctors and nurses, actually we need more. We need them to be employed. The ratio of the growth of the population in our country is not in line with the number of jobs that you have created or that you have in the public service. So if you're going to talk about a wage bill, whom are you counting and whom are you leaving out? State-owned entities are part of a public service, are part of that bill, but they are not counted into it. Parliamentarians, who pays them? They are part of that bill, but they are not counted. Every time when this issue is raised, we don't think it is raised correctly.
Thank you very much for your time. I suppose it's a discussion that will go on for a long time. That's the president of Cosatu, Zingiswa Losi. The alliance partners with the ANC discussing some of the outcome and that came out of this particular conference.